Lace up those boots and get those double buns ready, because it's time to hit the streets, and then hit people in the streets. Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're taking a look at the origin story of Chun-Li.
The sadness in my heart, the anger, the faint glimmer of hope that I keep inside. It's all real, and it's awakened again.
Before we begin, be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays and click on the links in the description to vote on upcoming content. In the early days of the fighting game genre, we actually didn't have much in terms of character variety, as the choices we were given usually were just variations of muscular dudes. But Street Fighter II did something that no fighting game had actually done before. It offered gamers the chance to play as a female character. Chun-Li proudly sat between Ken and Zangief on the selection screen and was the strongest woman in the world. Swift and armed with lethal kicks, she set out to get revenge against a certain power-mad dictator who ruined a perfectly good Tuesday by killing her father.
The day bison graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday.
Unfortunately for Bison, Chun-Li had been studying martial arts since she was 5, being taught by her father, who is also known for his, quote, legendary legs, end quote. The apple, as they say, doesn't fall far from the tree. Check out those gams. Like most fighting game franchises from back in the day, there actually wasn't much in terms of character details, so Chun-Li actually had to get more fleshed out with each new Street Fighter installment. This didn't just include video games though. This includes anime, manga, comics, an American cartoon, and not one but 2 live-action movies. But we don't like to talk about the second movie, or the first one. They all basically have the same plot thread though, of her wanting Bison's head for the death of her father, save for the anime series, which is drastically different from the story of the games. With Street Fighter II, the animated movie, we actually get to see her working with Interpol, which is in contrast to the live-action movie where she's a reporter.
You know what, for a minute, you're almost useful.
Attention motor pool, ABC.
She started working there at age 18 and had been investigating the sinister Shadaloo, aka Shadow Law, and more specifically their leader M. Bison. She then teams up with Guile, who also has a bone to pick with Bison for the death of his best friend. The two don't see eye to eye at first, but they bond over their mutual hate of the man who killed those closest to them.
Well, are you getting in or not?
Dare I refuse that invitation?
This story actually lines up with the events in the Alpha series, kinda. Serving as a prequel to the iconic Street Fighter II, in the second installment of the Alpha series, Chun-Li confronts Bison and demands to know what happened to her father. After the battle, he reveals the horrifying truth: he killed him. This moment is actually what sets her down the path of vengeance. In the third game in the prequel series,
Street Fighter Alpha 3!
Let's just say that again for clarity. Third game in the prequel series,
Street Fighter Alpha 3!
She teams up with the member of the US Air Force, Charlie Nash. Depending on what version you're playing, it gets increasingly confusing, but suffice to say that when the dust settles, it seems like Bison is destroyed. But we all know we have like 20 more Street Fighter games to get to, so what are the odds of that actually sticking? This all leads up to Street Fighter II, where Chun-Li enters the second World Warrior tournament to finally take Bison down, since he survived their attack on Shadaloo. But in the animated movie, it's Ryu and Ken who take out Bison. Either way, Bison's gone, Shadaloo's crushed, and Chun-Li is able to settle down and enjoy being a young woman. Until the next batch of games, of course. So, this is where things get a bit confusing. While Street Fighter III Third Strike is the next game in the series, chronologically, it's technically the last one story-wise. After Street Fighter II comes Street Fighter IV, Street Fighter V, and then Street Fighter III Third Strike. That makes sense, right?
The third strike, y'all, is Street Fighter 3.
So if you're going in chronological order, Chun-Li finds herself back at Interpol when a new organization pops up. SIN, or Shadaloo Intimidation Network. Yeah, we see where this is going. The organization is run by a genetically engineered being named Seth, who in reality was created to be a replacement body for, drumroll please, oh cool, we can do that, M. Bison, of course.
No, what are you doing here?
Yeah, he's not dead, big surprise, right? Chun-Li, along with Guile and Cammy, set off to take Sin down. The organization has set up another tournament in hopes of gathering more powerful fighters. Chun-Li manages to infiltrate their base and recover vital data that links Shadaloo to Sin, but is nearly killed in the process. Fortunately, Guile manages to get to her in time, and the data is recovered. Which brings us back to Street Fighter V's A Shadow Falls DLC mode. Still following? This time, Shadaloo's gone full psycho. launching 7 satellites into orbit known as Black Moons. By doing this, they hope to spread fear and despair, the stuff Bison's dreams are basically made of. If successful, Bison would be able to feed off the energy, don't think about it, and become unstoppable. Of course, our fiery warrior woman plans to put a stop to this, and teams up with several of Street Fighter's finest to gather the necessary pieces to put a stop to the plan. Bison is killed again, as far as we know, and Chun-Li rescues a young girl named Li Fen, who Shadaloo has kidnapped and forced to create the moons. Finally, Chun-Li gets the revenge she's been desperately seeking. She gets to retire teaching martial arts to orphans, including Li Fen, until Street Fighter 3 Third Strike happens, but don't worry, Urien is no Bison and Chun-Li easily rescues Li Fen from his clutches and goes back to her peaceful life once again. Short story. This is all until Street Fighter 6, of course, but when that day comes, we're sure she's gonna be ready, as always. Thanks for watching Mojo Plays. Be sure to subscribe and click on the link in the description below to check out our suggestion page and vote on what content you'd like to see us cover next.